Hi there, boys and girls. Happy Tuesday. I hope you're getting onto our Google Classroom. I think it's all set up now. Parents, if you have any questions, text me, email me, let me know if you have any trouble getting on there. That'll be a way better place to connect than just with these stories every day, so I'm excited about that. The story I picked today, we're switching to a different author. Her name is Jan Brett, and she is similar, which means lots of things are the same, similar to Patricia Polacco because she also does all of her writing and all of her illustrations. We have read several books by Jan Brett, and one of the things that she does in lots of her books, not this one, but in lots of her books, she gives you little clues about what's coming next if you look on the outside borders of the pages. So if you remember, we read a bunch of stories about gingerbread men and gingerbread. The gingerbread baby is one of her stories, and it gives a ton of clues throughout the story about what's going to happen next. And so that's the author that we'll look at for a few days now. Her name is, again, Jan Brett. And once again, there's just one name at the top. That means she wrote all the words. She's the author, and she also did all of the illustrations. She's the illustrator. She also travels to wherever she has chosen as a setting for her story. The setting of a story is where the story happens, where the story takes place. And in this case, it takes place on the plains, which means the really flat parts of Africa, very, very far away from here. But Jan Brett travels to all the places that she writes stories in so that she gets a really good idea about what things look like and what they sound like. And so she can put them in her books and make them look real. A big fancy word for real is authentic. I just noticed a little movement behind me. That's Elsa. That's Elsa sitting in the chair and waiting patiently to go for a run, which is what we're going to do after we read the story this afternoon. The story is called Honey, Honey Lion, and the reason I picked it is that last week we read the story called The Bee Tree by Patricia Polacco, and that was where the girl got tired of doing her reading, so her grandfather took her out on an adventure, and they went to the bee tree. And by the end of their journey to the bee tree, they had all kinds of different characters that had joined them along the way. And this story, when I think about the bee tree, it reminds me of Honey, Honey Lion, and I think you'll see why once I get started. Honey, Honey Lion by Jan Brett. This is the title page. Remember, the title page has the name of the story on it also, and the author / illustrator. Honey, Honey Lion. In Africa, the honey guide and the honey badger are partners when it comes to honey. The little bird follows a bee to its hive, and then she leads the honey badger there to break it open with its big, strong claws. Together they share the sweetness, and that is the way it has always been. Maybe this day Badger was hungrier than usual. Maybe he forgot about Honey Guide, who showed him the way. Or could he have been thinking, my strong claws do all the work? Whatever the reason, that day Badger would not share. So Honey Guide is this little bird, and Badger is this big mammal. He has all that honey, he's not sharing at all. Honey Guide scolded Badger as he waddled back to the jackalberry tree. To scold someone means to kind of get them in trouble. His tummy almost touching the ground, she fussed and fumed as he tried to fit it into his burrow. Finally, she cried out for all the animals to hear. No fair! No fair! Soon all the guinea hens were broadcasting the news. Honey Guide is in a major rage. That means Honey Guide's really angry. But Badger didn't hear. He was sound asleep, smiling, snoring, and hiccuping from his big meal. Grumph! Badger roared out the loudest hiccup of all, and its deep, low grumble gave Honey Guide an idea. What do you think Honey Guide's idea might be? The next morning, Badger woke up hungry, his tummy flat as a pancake. That's when Honey Guide flew by, heading for the great gray baobab. Honey, 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 she cried, grinning. The little bird zigzagged over its large roots. Pitter patter, pitter patter, pitter patter. The baobab is the name of a tree in Africa. Badger ran after her. Pitter patter, pitter patter, just like he did every day. Honey Guide flew low across the water hole. Splish, splash. Badger paddled after her. Splish, splash. Honey Guide glided to the top of a termite mound and bounced on one foot. Sprung! Badger scrambled to the top and bounced off. Sprung! So whatever Honey Guide does, Badger does too. Honey Guide landed on a hollow log. It echoed as she stomped along. Boom, boom. Badger hurried to catch up. Boom, boom. Next, Honey Guide flitted through a stand of papyrus, which is the name of this plant in Africa. Tall, dry reeds waved back and forth, clickety-click, clickety-click. Badger traipsed along, muttering, "Where is that honey?" The papyrus rattled as he went by. Clickety-click, clickety-click, clickety-click. Honey Guide led him through a field of golden bristlegrass. Swish, swish. Badger huffed and puffed, but the thought of the delicious meal waiting for him kept him going. Swish, swish. By now, Badger was tired and wet and itchy and sore. But he didn't slow down because Honey Guide was just ahead of him. She flashed her wings, fanned her tail, and dove under an acacia tree. Badger charged in after her, singing triumphantly, "Honey! Honey! Lion!" So think about that. What did Honey Guide do? Where did she lead Badger this time on the day that he chose, the day after he chose not to share any of the honey that she had led him to? She led him straight to a lion. Lion, lion, lion! Badger turned on his tail and ran. Swish, swish through the grass, clickety-click into the papyrus, boom, boom over the hollow log. Sprung over the termite mound, splish, splash across the water hole, pitter, patter over the baobab roots. Sorry. Are you done? There's Luna. There's Elsa. Badger dashed into his burrow. Honey Guide cheered. In a flash, Badger was as far from the entrance as he could be. Right behind him was Lion's huge paw batting the air, but he couldn't reach him. And that's the closest any animal could be to an angry lion and live to tell the tale. Excuse us. Excuse us. That evening, Mongoose squeaked to Elephant, who trumpeted to Hippo, who bellowed to Warthog, who squealed to Bishop Bird, who piped to Hyena, who whooped to Zebra, who snorted to Giraffe, who was overheard by Guinea Hen, who bugled it far and wide. It was the Bush Telegraph, and it said, "If Honey Guide leads you to a beehive, be sure and reward her, or next time, she will lead you to a lion." So I'm glad that I read a story about animals because apparently mine decided that it was time to say hi to all of you. So yeah, sorry about the interruption. And I hope you liked the story. And I'll see you again tomorrow.